Bantu FM.
I'm an African, yeah.
Bantu FM.
I'm an African,
By the people, for the people.
Buyala, buyala, mama, eh. 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 Buyala, buyala, mama, eh.
Bantu FM.
Welcome to the Black Panther Corner with General Mellie Queen. How is everyone doing today? We would like to start our show off today. We would like to say salute and peace and power to all our political prisoners and our family that are still locked in the gulags. Support these brothers and sisters. They need our help as much as possible. We need to bring them home. Salute to all black media platforms, our sisters and brothers that's out here giving us this knowledge and guidance during this difficult time. Salute to Sister Bantu Queen with Bantu FM Radio. African culture, news, music, money, fashion, revolutionary talk shows, African global unity across the world. We need to join together, join our social media platforms, keep connected, share, like, and subscribe. Salute to Brother Noble and his family in Colorado with Unity Community and Mile High News. Support and donate there. The Vanguard's Online Academy is back open, running. We are having a great time. Join us if you're looking for an African-centered education for your children. Contact us at vanguardsacademy21@gmail.com. All right, family. Today, I have been waiting on this conversation with one of my favorite brothers, one of my favorites. Peace and power, Brother Malik. Welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Good Sunday morning to you, Queen Mellie. Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure always to be a voice for my people. And yeah, you've been very excited about doing this show, and I'm very happy to be a part of it. Thank you. Thank you, Bantu Radio and Queen Bantu as well. Thank you.
Yeah, very much so. We are so happy. I love getting your perspective on things because, like you said, a lot of us are riding in this emotional turmoil. And when you are able to step back and look at it with a clearer vision and not put your emotions in it, you have better sense of what's going on. So we want to start the show out today. We want the truth because that's who you are known as.
Yes, I
am. We want you to tell us about you. Tell us about you, how you got started, and we're going to start the show off like that. Go ahead.
Well, again, thank you for having me, Bantu Radio and Sister Mellie Queen. I really got into this from being raised born and raised in West Oakland, coming under the tutelage of UEP Newton and the Black Panthers, and having family members, including an older brother and some cousins and the surrounding village and the community. I think my mindset was kind of set on the fact that I wanted to be a freedom fighter for freedom, justice, equality, and true liberation for our people. So got into politics a little bit, got into motivational speaking, and all of it kind of like combined, and the rest is history. My voice has blissfully and thankfully taken me all over the country, Puerto Rico, Cuba, Africa, England, all up and down the Caribbean coast, probably 45 of the 50 U.S. states. And I'm just honored and privileged to, even through the hurt and the pain, being arrested, fighting with the police, being being in the back of paddy wagons, thousands and thousands of miles from home. Every blood, sweat, and tear that I shared was worth it then, and it continues to be worth it now.
Yes, most definitely, because that's what makes a true revolutionary. Because I see a lot of people that's you know, they want to play like they revolutionary, but they haven't had the struggle. Because you got to learn, you got to study, you have to know what's going on. You see these bullshit, you see these elections are over with. Now, I'm going to be so honest with you. I cannot stand these politics. But after being and listening to your lines and the way that you bring it, I look at it a different way. Because when it says politicized, it don't mean that you have to be politicized into agreeing with their system. Politicizing means, you know, when we politicize the people and educate them, we want them to learn about their liberties that they receive. Can you talk about the elections a little bit? Because a lot of our people don't understand.
Well, the first and foremost, the number one problem that I have with, and I want to make it clear, anything I say is not with a broad brush. I'm not stereotyping our people by any means, because that's a form of racism. But overwhelmingly, from my history of a former lobbyist for the state of California, part of many elections, including historical Kevin Johnson in 2008, Barack Obama in 2008. The biggest problem that I have, first and foremost, is our people indulge with personal feelings and emotions. And when you take those two and you implement them into politics, which a lot of our people don't understand, this is where you get this, that's where the personality worshiping comes in at. That's where the symbolism comes in at. Because if you understood politics, you wouldn't have room to put personal feelings and emotions in it, and more so, we would do away with the symbolism and the personality worshiping, because when you really look at politics, and I learned this walking the halls of the state capitol in California, and then being flown all over the country. When you really understand politics, it's like the phrase you hear about a chicken. It's really two wings, two drumsticks, two thighs of the same bird. And the problem that I have with our people also with politics is that once we get embedded into a certain political party, we won't even bother to look at any other aspect. Like me, I grew up a Christian because I was forced to be a Christian. I grew up being a Democrat because I was born to be a Democrat. I didn't know any better. But once I became a grown man and got involved in politics and learned to understand that, it's best probably for me to register as an independent, because I learned politics, Millie Queen, and I realized that you can take a little bit from both sides and still be happy if you want to indulge in politics. You know, and I get into them based on my experience, but to answer your question, the biggest problem I have is that our people don't really understand politics, and that's why you always hear me say, Millie Queen, we think that all we have to do is vote, you know, and usually when we vote, it's for things like, for instance, here in California, we had a lot of very important propositions that went down. And they went down, for instance, Millie Queen, we had a rent proposal on here, and then I found out after it passed, you know me, I research everything. I found out that it passed because most renters didn't vote for it because they probably didn't bother to read the proposition, and whereas most landlords and property owners did. So it passed overwhelmingly. So what does that do, Sister Millie Queen? Now it no longer gives the government control over rent control as far as these propositions, as far as these moratoriums that they sign in once this new law kicks in. So we need to understand politics, and once you understand politics, you will leave your feelings and emotions out of it, because both sides of the wing is going to use you for what they can use you for. And so I always suggested that you as the voter, especially a black voter, everybody else vote is a coin, is a gold coin. The black vote, the most powerful vote, is a gold bar. And obviously you know the difference between a gold coin and a gold bar. And so once you learn politics and understand it, we will see how valuable our votes are, And when you understand how valuable your vote is, and you know, and you let the politicians know that you're aware of how this is when you get an agenda, and your agenda is moved on to the advantage of you and your people.
Exactly. And see, and that's the thing that we are learning, because I look at it as I be wanting us to just check out. I wish we could overthrow them, but I know that's not feasibly possible at this time. So I'm looking at the things that the wealth gap, the gentrification, pig genocide, and the things that are affecting us because they make the laws. Just like when the article I shared with you coming out of New York. I want us to talk about that, because what we're not understanding is they making the laws and they're making, but the backlash is gonna fall on us, because if they make this vaccine mandatory, that's gonna that's gonna mess up some things. And then they got in the proposal that they're gonna target specific groups. You know, that's code word right there. What does that mean?
Absolutely. And it's interesting you said that, because when you shared that story with me, and you know I love to research, just yesterday, Queen Mellie, I pulled up an article. They're doing the same thing in Washington, D.C. And again, as you just said, and as I'm saying, if you don't understand politics, you don't understand. You always hear me say during my lectures, we ignore things, and then when it hit us and bite us on the butt 4 or 5 years later, you'd be like, well, where did that come from? Well, it was on the ballot 4 years ago, and you didn't pay it any attention because you were too busy being caught up into who's in the White House. And so I'm finding out that, Sister Millie Queen, they are actually trying to implement that not just in New York, but also in Washington, D.C. And what we need to understand, when we understand politics, we'll understand the little components of these laws. They're going to even get it to where you can't even deny the vaccine under religious preferences, because a lot of people, even if they're non-religious, they'll run behind the excuse of religion. And this is why you always hear me say, whatever game we playing, they got people sitting in the room, and this is all they do all day, every day. So now they're getting the corner, Millie Queen, to where any excuse that you can have for you and your child and religion against your religious beliefs is being the number one. They're even blocking that off. And like you said, this is what happens when you put control of the politicians in their hand, because we have long forgotten that the saying is the power belongs to the people. The politicians are supposed to work for you, but somewhere down the road, some generations ago, that got in the way. And that's why we're having the problems that we're having now, when even here you heard me say the other day, in California, they sign off on anything. That's why the taxes are so high, because we have given the politicians too much control over our lives. And that comes from voting and thinking voting is the entire pie, or the majority of the pie, not understanding voting is really the final aspect of the overall political process. You need to understand the bylaws, the rules and regulations, the red line proposals that's written in these laws, and then you'll really understand what is going on. Like, for instance, my lady friend, she sat down 2 or 3 days in a row right here at my home and literally studied the proposals harder than anything else that she was concerned about. And as you know, Sister Millie Queen, I did the exact same thing, because it's easy to just worry about who's in the office of the president, but you have local laws, you have state laws that can affect you, if not you, your grandchildren, for years and years and years to come. And I disagree with you respectfully on one thing. There is a time for us to do it. We have enough money among us as a people. We have enough black millionaires, billionaires, well-to-do people, to where black people should have long ago had their own political party. If not the Black Party, as you always hear me say, the red, black, and green, representing the flag that our great Marcus Mosiah Garvey gave us in 1920. So we have the means to do it. It's a condition, Sister Millie Queen. It's just like breaking the chains of religion. You know, religion and politics are the same. They're conditional chains that we have, and it's not because we can't. It's just because we don't want to. And what does that mean you've been focusing on lately? These generational curses. Generational curses stick around because family members worry about what other family members are going to think. When I converted to Islam and changed my name, I cared nothing about what anybody in my family thought other than my father. And the only reason why I cared about him was because I wanted to give him the respect of legally changing the family's last name, you know, from Lewis. But outside of that, and when I converted to Islam, Sister Mellie Queen, I was in my first marriage with 4 teenage children. Didn't shove it down my ex-wife's throat. Didn't shove it down my children's throat because it was a decision that was made that I wanted to make. And furthermore, I didn't want to do to my children and my ex-wife what was done to me. I didn't want them to convert to Islam and change their name because that's what was done to me. And what ends up happening? My 2 grown daughters, my 2 grown sons, when they became of age, they actually thanked me and appreciated me for doing that, for the very reason why that I didn't do it. They wanted the opportunity to change their names if they want to. So I'm saying all that to say, a lot of this behavior with religion and politics, even when you heard me talk the other day about soul food, is because of generational curses. We're worried about what family members would think. The first law of nature is self-perseverance, okay? I'm not going to eat pork and chitlins because my grandmother, who's long ago dead, ate them and lived to be 90 years old. I'm at the age now, I long ago know better, I do better, so I don't eat pork, I don't eat chitlins, as an example. Who thinks what about it? Malik never cared. Life goes on.
Exactly. And that's what I want them to hear from you today, because when we are expressing our people, we do not do it in a clear mind, because we either doing it because grandmama said it or mama said it. We have to think for ourselves so that we can make better decisions. Because we can't. I understand we have to take from the past and help us in the future, but we got to bring that new with the old. So we see what is not working with them. So we bring that and we add it to our own thoughts, our own feelings and everything, because people keep saying, well, my mama did this. I didn't want to upset my mama, but then I had to think, I'm using my brain. That's not common sense. So I still respect my mama and still let her know it sounds crazy to me. So that's what I want them to understand. I see that you, former educator. You work with you're a youth mentor and life coach with the African American Male Achievement. I want you to speak on that because, like I said, we trying to condition our children, and we cannot condition them and think that they're going to change this society because their conditioning is stumping us.
Right, and let me back up a little bit to something you said. You said add, but we have to make it very clear. It's okay to eliminate. Okay, it's okay to eliminate. Sure, you can add to, like you said, what you're learning on your own under the guise of when you know better, you do better. But it doesn't, because when you just say add, with all due respect, Millie Queen, you're saying bring along those bad ways. No, eliminate. Eliminate pork out your diet. Eliminate red meat out your diet. See? So no, you can do without that. And in my case, add goat and add lamb. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to go back and because I don't want our people to focus on you saying add. I want them to understand that it's okay to eliminate, but the adding comes from the new knowledge that you gain from knowing better to do better. The African American Male Achievement is an organization that's funded, and we have contracts with the Oakland Unified and the San Francisco Unified School District, in which I'm a classroom educator in both. And the purpose of that is, as you clearly know and understand, Queen Mellie, parenting overall is not is not what I call hands-on parenting. Hands-on parenting is standing with your child, sitting with your child, looking over your child's shoulder to make sure that they're doing correctly what it is that they need to be taught. An example: parents now in the bedroom next to their children will text good night instead of going in like you and I did and like our parents did to us, going in there still kissing their kids on the forehead and telling them good night and tucking it and seeing if they have what is called a clear mind so they can sleep and rest well throughout the night. So what happened was I'm sorry.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but that is so powerful. That's why the communication between us and our children is broken because of the technology and different things. That was powerful. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for saying that. Yeah, modern technology is the new parenting now, and what did it eliminate? It eliminated the hands-on parenting. You have grown to love and respect me even in my personal life. You see, I know how to cook for myself. You see, I know how to take care of my house. I know how to work in the garden, plant fruits and vegetables. That falls under hands-on parenting. Now, if it was technology parenting as it is today, if I knew that, I would know it from YouTube. And there's a difference. See, there's a difference. And so what the African American Male Achievement Organization does is it's educators from San Francisco and Oakland, former and current. And what we do boot camps. Of course, the COVID-19 shut all of it down. But 2 or 3 times a year, we do what's called an overnight weekend boot camp. Say, for instance, we'll use, say, Oakland High School. Your parents come in, bring you in on a Friday night. You stay with us till Sunday evening. Parents can't be around. And what we do, we have contracts. Say, for instance, we have a contract with Men's Warehouse. Men's Warehouse comes in and teaches the black junior high and high school boys how to tie a tie, how to tie a bow tie, how to put on cufflinks, how to fold a pocket tie. We have a contract with Bed Bath & Beyond. They'll come in, set up a dinner table. Kids don't know the difference. You tell your kid today to go get a fork, he'll bring you a salad fork, but you're getting ready to eat a steak. So we teach them through Bed Bath & Beyond. They'll come in, they'll bring a kitchen table, chairs, they'll bring up the dishes, the teaspoon, the saucer, the tablespoon, the fork, the knives, and we teach in that realm. We'll teach them the difference between an eating fork, a salad fork, a steak knife, a butter knife, a tablespoon, a teaspoon. Okay, how you set a table up, how you lay your napkin. Okay, how you go about helping assist, in this case, a young lady in pushing her chair under the table. These are things that you and I were taught. Because you have a lot of listeners that say, well, what's the big deal about that, Malik? You learned that? No, that's not, no. We're not talking about back when you and I generation. We're talking about the difference in hands-on parenting, which what Bed Bath & Beyond teaches these young black boys in Oakland and San Francisco. You and I, we learned that at home from hands-on parenting. See, and so that's what African American Male Achievement does. We have professional body trainers come in and teach the young boys how to take care of their bodies, what kind of vitamins to take, when to take them, why to take them, alternatives to medication, and what have you. So this is what African American Male Achievement is about. It's a substitution for the hands-on parenting that you no longer get. And it's very important that I say this, Sister Millie Queen, more important, because we recognize, because we do the data, we follow the statistics, that 72% of homes are ran by single black women. Okay? So if you have a single black mother who's most likely working herself to death in this day and age, who's teaching these boys, okay, these basic hands-on training that they need to go in further into life? Like when I went to college, I had one of the cleanest dorm rooms. Everybody liked to hang out in my dorm room because it was clean. I was the cook in the dorm, and the little boys or the young men are walking around like, Malik, where you get that from? Well, because this is what I was raised. I was raised in a house, thankfully, with 6 sisters, a mother, no nonsense father, and 3 older brothers. It was, oh, well, you the baby boy, you were spoiled. No. My mother and my parents believed in hands-on training. You get in there and you learn how they would give us a tomato to mess up, and if we with a certain kind of knife, a butter knife, and it was only for us to practice. And that way, by the time I was 12 or 13 years old, I can go in there and stand next to one of my 6 sisters, or when we doing a holiday meal, and go in there and contribute to helping prepare the meal and cook it. So this is a realm. Oh, we do physical training. We have physical therapists come in. We have gym teachers come in. And so it's a weekend. It's like a weekend boot camp. They get 3 meals a day, catered, fresh, hot. We give them T-shirts. They get hats. Men's Warehouse gives them some suits. They let them pick out how many ties they want with matching. So that's what African American male achievement is. A substitution. Millie Queen, and a lot of people may not like the way it sounds, but it is what it is. That's why I tell you, you can't put feelings and emotions into everything, because it cuts off your way of thinking. It cuts you off from thinking clearly. So this is a way to be a substitute, to have black men come in and teach black boys how to be men. That's our mantra. We say African American male achievement. You can look it up on the website, and we say, we turn boys into men. And that's an example of some of the things that we do. Like I said, even bringing in Bed Bath & Beyond to set up a table, set up dishes, and teach these boys the difference between a salad fork and an eating fork. Because you attract what you are. Don't no real woman want a man that's not self-sufficient and know how to take care of himself. And this is what was instilled in me coming up as a child in the 60s. And so that's why I'm as well-rounded as I am, because my mother and my sisters, the village and the community, both grandmothers, the aunties, they didn't play. And so here we are. But that's, to answer your question, that's an example of what the African American male achievement is doing in San Francisco, Oakland, Bay Area, through our public school system, specifically with black junior high, middle school, I should say, and high school boys.
And see, that's a powerful organization, because we need that. Because we have dropped the ball. And, working with the boys like that, the girls need that grooming also. Because because you have a baby does not mean that you are mother. These are still babies raising babies. So
say that again.
I can understand where you coming from with that, because that spoke a lot to me, because I'm one of the ones. We're not hands on. We've been conditioned. And it is hard to change their conditioning. That's why I love listening to your lives and different things, because I'm going to tell you, you be telling us some shit, be like, all right, Brother Malik ain't crazy. I know he not, but after you sit and think about it and you research it and everything, hey, you have to accept the truth sometimes.
Okay.
And I love the knowledge and the wisdom that you share with us, right?
Right.
How can you be so transparent and honest and open like you are?
Because it falls under the regular old cliche. When you know better, you do better. You can't. We've been conditioned to think we're helping a person if we eliminate the truth, but don't hurt their feelings. And that's why I know you laugh, because you hear me say that all the time. I had to learn that, and I learned it through no-nonsense parents, and then being introduced to the Black Panthers in my teens, and watching my older siblings and cousins and all that. And you have to be honest. That's why you hear people like me say the truth stands on its own. The truth and honesty is in the same family. So if you're going to talk to your people, if you're a freedom fighter, revolutionary, OG, all these names that I have, it has to be grounded in telling your people the truth. It has to be grounded in transparency. How come when a black boy is killed by the police, you want transparency, but you don't want transparency in someone like me lecturing you about a subject matter, but you want me to make you feel good, yet leave the truth out of it? It doesn't work that way. So I learned transparency because, first of all, that's the way I was raised. My parents didn't play. I want to make that very, very clear. I had relationships blissfully with both of my grandparents, both grandfathers. Everybody was on the same page. See, and you have to remember, Sister Millie Queen, we no longer have the village and the community. So I'm not just the way that I am because of my parents, my siblings, and family members. I can't forget about the village and the community. I can't forget about the black mothers and the black grandmothers and the older black men 15 or 20 blocks from my home, that if I did something I didn't have any business doing, by the time I got home, whether I was walking or riding the bus or on my bicycle, my parents already knew. Both grandparents already knew in their home. After my dad wasn't in the home and he was remarried, he already knew. So when you're surrounded by that type of transparency, children do what? Children emulate what they see. My mother didn't lie to me, so I wouldn't lie to my children. Okay? And that's where you have to be. So when you leave transparency out, and then on top of it, you're not getting hands-on, now you see the condition that our children are in today. And in defense of some of the mothers that it pertains to, some of them just simply aren't able to do it because times are different. You know, they're working. You know, you got 8 hours on the job. You might be commuting. It may take you 2 or 3 hours, an hour and a half both ways. That's 11, 12 hours you're away from the home. See? So all of that goes into play. But check this out, Sister Millie Queen. You also know that's why I'm so big on the reconstruction of the black family. You notice I always talk about that because you cannot have a black family until you rebuild the relationship between the black man and the black woman. You can't do any shortcuts in any of that. Until we rebuild the relationship between the black man and the black woman, you're going to always have dysfunctional children that are not being told the truth. They're not being told correctly. And then what happens? They grow up and raise their children the same way. See, my children never caused me any problems, neither one of my sons, neither one of my daughters, because they knew I wasn't a problem to my parents, my village, and my community. I raised them the same way I was raised. Whoever don't like it, that's their problem. My mother's attitude was, I don't care nothing about the police. I don't care nothing about the court system. You my child. I brought you in. I'm gonna take you out. You know that's what we were raised on, and I raised my children the same way. And my sons turned out to be very fine gentlemen. Both of them are married, got their wives, their children, their own homes. Both my daughters are married, got their husbands, their own home, and their children, because that's what they saw in me. And I saw it, Millie Queen, as you know, because these kids are going to funerals and all that now. When I was coming up, I was going to older brothers and sisters' graduation. The first PhD that I knew about, as you know, Millie Queen, came from my two older brothers right there in West Oakland. That's the first time I knew of PhDs, not from a white man, not from a teacher at my junior high, elementary, or high school. The first PhDs that I saw was from my two brothers, two black men in the home with me that looked like me. See, and so what happened? You know what I mean? And so that transpired me and influenced me to know the importance of education and having a structured, transparent life.
Exactly, and that's the thing that that's a major generational curse that we have to break among our people, because the messing up of their relationship, you know, between the black man and the black woman has brought about broken children.
Absolutely.
Broken people, because we're so hurt. And I can't help it. I'm an example. That's why I'm changing. And it changes what's necessary to come up out of this. Because we are so comfortable. And when you get to change, and that comfortability gets threatened. So when we are threatened with our comfortability, it brings about these emotions. We have so much domestic violence, assault, and different things still going on during this time right here. So
let me say this real quick before you get to the next subject matter. Something that you just said, I just want to piggyback on. The listeners need to understand generational curses can also be damaging to a family, because if you were raised up with a mother, even after my father left the home, my mother never instilled in her children that she didn't need a man. You see where I'm going with this, Sister Millie Queen? So I just wanted to add the damage that generational curses. Now, it's easy to say eating and behavior, but a lot of attitudes with these black women is because of generational curses. And I just gave you an example. Just like you see men, I have young men that are out of college now who was hitting girls in elementary, junior high, and high school. Why? Because their generational curse taught them they saw their mother being beaten by their father. Okay? So no one taught that black boy until he came to African American male achievement. Do you know, brother, that I had 6 sisters and I couldn't hit on either one of my sisters? Well, how's that, Mr. Muhammad? Because my mother and my father and the village and the community taught me what? Malik, if you hit a girl, you'll hit a woman. If you hit your sisters and we make you feel that that's okay, what are you going to do? The generational curse will cause you. Well, Malik, I don't understand. What's the generational curse? The generational curse was the adults allowing me to physically disrespect and put my hands on my sisters. That generational curse was eliminated before my mother died, and she died at 13 when I was 13 years old. So what would I do? I took it out on a baby doll. I go take the doll and rip the head off, like you heard me say, and throw it across the street or something. That's what I did. But putting the hands on, and to this day, never called a woman out of her name, never put my hands on a woman, nothing about juvenile, nothing about going to jail. The only time I ever been to jail is when I was a Muslim and part of the Nation of Islam. We went and visited, and we called it going to see the brothers behind the wall, just like we write the brothers behind the wall. But where did it come from, brother? I mean, Sister Millie Queen and the listening audience, because the generational curse and how to treat a woman was instilled in me coming out of my mother's womb, period. Hello?
I say yes. That's one of the generational curses that we must break. Because I'm gonna tell you, I lived my life for a long time before I was awakened that I don't need a man. I'm a single mother. That's not true. I needed a man in my household because we need that balance. You see what I'm saying?
Let me give you credit, Sister Millie Queen. From the time I met you, you've always been honest about how you used to be versus how you is now. And what does that mean? You're being transparent with yourself first before you can even be transparent with Brother Malik and even the listening audience or even your friends on Facebook and other social media outlets. Transparency. You have to have transparency within yourself, because if you lie, you're telling your lie to self, you're thinking about the lie to yourself first to share with others. So I want to commend you for being one of the many women that I have been blessed, even in my family, to have in my life that has admitted to your own transparency. Because I remember me and you having that conversation on a private call on our phone. You said, Malik, I wasn't always like this. Well, that's good, Sister Millie Queen, because number one, you've been commended for transparency, and number two, the key word is growth. When you know better, you do better.
Exactly, growth and change, and I appreciate that, Brother Malik, coming from you, because that's I very much appreciate that. Absolutely. Because that's what I wanted us to talk about next is the changing of our thought patterns. Because, like I said, I understand the condition, and it's powerful because you got to get up every day and work on that, because you got to say, hey, I'm going to do it a way so that I can have a different result. How can we talk to them about making these changes and stop walking in fear?
Remember, I did the lecture about change, and you remember Brother Tyrone came in on his comment, and he said, Malik, I never looked at change the way that you broke it down. Do you remember that lecture, really, Queen, and that brother coming in commenting? Yeah, because it's very, and I hear it in your voice, and I know you, so I know you mean it. It is. Change is very, very, very hard to do. Okay? But my work over the many, many, many years has shown me, again, the number one reason people feel change, it has nothing to do with them. It has nothing to do with their inner transparency. It's all based on what others, not even just family members, think about them. See, and that's the biggest problem, especially, and the two biggest problems with our people in the category of change is religion and politics. Religion and politics. And our change is we're so bad about change. You notice lately I've been using the example of going into a doctor's office and you see these political books laying around. You see a book that says Democrat. You see a book that says Republican. You see a book that says Green Party. You see a book that says Independent Party. You see a book that says Red, Black, and Green Party. The problem that we have with change, and I'm just using this book in politics as an example, is that we will walk into that doctor's office where if you're already a Democrat, then what are you looking at that book for? You have to be willing enough to change to at least pick up another book that doesn't say Democrat on it and see what's inside of it. Sister Millie Queen, there may be something in there that you like, but this is the catch. They have been so conditioned to go against changes that's one of the biggest problems. They're afraid that they'll see something in the book that they like and they agree with. Like you hear me say. You see what I'm saying? That's how deep change is. You're even afraid to pick up a book. Why do you want to keep reading the same book over and over and over? And you know who taught me that? You know, because you've been around. The white politicians up in Sacramento. The white politicians taught me about, Malik, you need to look into something outside of being a slave to the Democratic Party. I had no idea to do that because I had never had my mind conditioned. And then they said, well, Brother Malik, didn't you change your name? Didn't you change your religion? I say, yeah. Well, why you can't look into changing your political party? And these are Democrats, by the way. But they were white men understanding that black people are in bed and embedded and feel that they owe the Democratic Party something. And it wasn't because they were trying to get me to... I don't even know what their political party is. I just know that they wasn't Democrats. I know that for a fact. But they were opening up my eyes to say, Brother Malik, you and your people have been indebted to the Democratic Party. You need to look into a change. And what did I do going back to those books in the doctor's office? I looked in the Republican book. I looked in the Independent book. I looked in the Black book. I looked in the Red, Black, and Green as an example book. And now what do you hear me say? I like some of the things that Donald Trump does as far as politics, and the reason why people get upset when I say that is what we're talking about now. They haven't changed their attitude about the political process to understand what I'm saying. When you have the bully pulpit is what we call it. When you have it where you know all the cameras are always going to be on you, the microphone's going to always be on you, you're considered the most powerful man in the world, absolutely. Use it. Challenge the system. That's what Donald Trump has done, and most of our people can't relate to it, Millie Queen, because they don't understand politics. They don't understand it, and they're not trying to understand. He's supposed to challenge the system. He's supposed to challenge the court system. That's what they're there. He's supposed to put in Supreme Court judges that's going to benefit him. That's the game of politics. But you know the problem? We've also been conditioned to think politics is like you always hear me say, and I got this from a white politician in Sacramento. He said, Brother Malik, politics is not pretty. That's exactly what he told me. He says politics is not based on you going outside the Capitol right now and you seeing a red Corvette with a big red bow on it and a big teddy bear in the front seat. And we've been conditioned to think that it's pretty. It's dressed up. Yeah. It's supposed to be nice.
Like they do with everything. They always put everything with that little shiny bow on it and those little trinkets.
There you go.
To catch our attention. Because I'm going to tell you, when Trump first got in office, I hated Trump. But then I looked at it, I said, Trump ain't no different from the rest of them. All he doing is opening up the door and letting us see what's in there. He ain't no different. He's no different. They are all the same.
Once our people understand, remember I just lectured the other day, to use your example, I'm just going to use racism. Another thing Donald Trump did, he didn't bring racism to this country. Racism in this country is over 500 years old. This country was built on racism. Donald Trump did the same thing you did.
This the thing. Look, this the thing, Brother Malik. And when he leaves office, I want my people to overstand. It is not going to go anywhere.
Didn't you see me just write about that on Facebook? And I told you a young lady sent me a text about that, and I had to get in her butt. When I say get in her butt, I had to educate her. Because remember I said, she said, well, Malik, we're survivors. We know how to put two pieces of bread together and survive. She said, we're just tired of the racism, and that's why we want Donald Trump to go. Remember I shared that on the lecture? And I simply educated her and reminded her, Donald Trump didn't bring racism to the White House. Okay? Racism was in the White House even with the black president. Because black people don't even understand. Hold on. Black people don't even understand. Technically, Barack Obama's immigration policies are worse than Donald Trump. It's just that Donald Trump put them in cages. But if you go look at the record, we don't do this. We don't research because we don't like to read, and you can't research if you don't read. You go look at Barack Obama's 8-year immigration policies and see the only difference is what you just said, Sister Mellie Queen. Donald Trump just took it a step further and put those children in inhumane cages. You take kids out of cages. No president in the history of this country deported more immigrants than Barack Hussein Obama. And this is and what's so sad about it is documented evidence. All you got to go do is pull it up. But we don't want to do that. We want everything to fall in our lap. All you got to go look up. This is what I teach about politics. I don't care about Kamala Harris. You've seen how hard I've been on her. Because I know her record as the district attorney in San Francisco. I stood with some of the parents who San Francisco police officers killed, including Mario Woods. And I told you, we walked to her office and they wouldn't even open the door. I know her record. She didn't even talk to us. I know her record as the Attorney General for the state of California. When you look at her record, you look at, is she anti-police or is she pro-police, or do she sit in the middle? Sitting in the middle means she would have at least attempted, Mellie Queen, to at least press charges against some of the police officers. Okay? She never did. Okay? She never did anything. So we want to get amnesia with these politicians. See, but we won't get amnesia with a relative that owes us $50. You hear what I'm saying, Sister Mellie Queen? We get amnesia with these politicians, but you still mad at your sister that owe you $50 from 10 years ago. Why, Sister Mellie Queen? Because symbolism, personality worshiping. See, we're not going to care. Most black people are not going to care anything about what Joe Biden and Kamala Harris does. Only thing they're going to care about is every time she on TV, they're going to put it on. They're going to put it on Facebook and let the whole world know. Now, let me ask you this: who yet have stepped to either one of them outside of Ice Cube with an agenda for black people to hold them accountable? We don't hold politicians accountable because we don't know how to hold politicians accountable, because I'm going to continue to say this until my last breath. Overall, most black people do not understand the entire political processing other than vote. That's why they don't know what accountability is, because you don't know how to do it. See, you don't know what it means.
It's evident. And it's evident because my thing is, they already have in their first 100 days, they're about to pass laws for the LGBTQ community, and they're about to pass laws for somebody else. But see, these people have already put their bids in place. You're going to do this for us, or we're not going to vote. Black people got to understand. I heard a tape the other day, this little boy, 27 years old in prison, He was 14 when he went before Kamala Harris. 14. She gave him 25 years for a robbery.
You know, I'm very.
So he says that he thinks Trump is the best thing for him. Okay, Trump is letting people out. So if that's what he feels, how can y'all go against this baby? He's sitting behind bars for 25 years.
Because that goes back to what you initially asked me when you asked me what brings about change. Change. What do you always hear me say? What is my motto that even used to be on one of my business cards? Change the way you think, Sister Millie Queen, so you can change the way you live. You cannot take that brother who Kamala Harris gave him 25 years at 14 years old and be upset with him because his skin is brown like hers, but he don't want to have anything to do with her. That's why I did the lecture on black people should be the last people that wants to take others' freedom of choice away from them. And when you get mad at this brother because he don't vote for Kamala Harris, you're taking away his freedom of choice. I don't understand why we'll buy a car, a brand new car right off the lot. And Sister Millie Queen, we may not like the stereo system because we want to put the one in the next place we go before we even go show our husband, our wives, or our mother or family members the car. We'll go to a stereo shop and have a new stereo put in. We'll change the rims, or we change our underwear every day, But we don't want to change the way we think so we can change the way we live in areas that have an adverse and direct effect on our lives. This is why, and so people ask me, what's symbolism? And I know a lot of the listeners may want to know what symbolism is. Symbolism is putting Kamala Harris in the White House as the first, as a melanated vice president, and the only thing you care about is the fact that her skin is manila. You don't care about her. Obviously, you don't care about her past, okay? And you don't care about the future because, as you just said, and I piggyback off of it, where's the agenda? Y'all got mad at Ice Cube because you don't read. You have no idea what Ice Cube went and tried to have done for our people. But because of feelings and emotions, because of not doing the work and reading and researching, he laid out everything that he about when they told him get back to us if we win the election. Okay? Because even you said, at least he got something in writing. You remember you said that, Millie Queen? At least when he went to Donald Trump, he got something in writing. I would rather you to open the door and let me in and let me sit down and talk to you versus you putting the sliding thing on the chain on the door and opening and talking to me like I'm a dog getting ready to try to come into your house. We don't understand that concept. And what's the number one problem? Because I get these questions all the time. Black people we have to stop putting feelings and emotions into everything. And hopefully, when I say this, the listeners will understand this too. Everything and everybody are not worthy of your feelings and emotions. They are very, very personal. Everything, I'm going to say it one more time. Everything and everybody are not worthy of your feelings and emotions. Feelings and emotions has their place. Okay, just like we say, everything has a place and there's a time and place for everything. We have put our feelings and emotions into everything, and it blocks the way that we think rationally. And we have to get away from that. Okay, a politician is about policies. A politician is not about what their race is, what their gender is, what kind of car they drive. It's about policies and procedures. And the moment that we overstand that, and be willing to be transparent, be willing to change the way we think so we can change the way we live, we'll be better off as a people, and we would own the political process. Because we're supposed to have an agenda that's pro-black and meets our need, and no one can say, Malik, that's racist. No, it's not. Not when Barack Obama signed in more laws and rights for LBG community to the point that and think about this, Sister Millie Queen, and I especially want the listening audience to when they listen to this show and they go and think about it. Think about this. Most LGBT gays and lesbians feel that they have more rights as a choice of what their sexuality is than we have as just basic human rights. And we don't take the time to think about that. Think about that. You would say that's a lot of fucking nerves to have. But they got the power to do that. And who did it? this black president that y'all crazy about. You want to make some black folks mad? Talk about Barack Obama.
And then that's the sad part.
Talk about religion, especially Christianity, and that goddamn Bible. Why?
And that's what I keep telling you. Go ahead.
Because
go ahead.
They haven't taken the time to read any other book. I've read the Jewish Torah. Obviously, I've read the Quran. I was raised up on the Bible, so I could be a religious scholar. Versus most Christians only know scriptures and chapters of the Bible. Most Christians I know, including my family, has never to this day read the Bible from the first page in the middle to the last. Statistical, documented facts.
But wait a minute, Brother Malik, you made that point right there. They haven't read the whole Bible, and guess what? That's the only book that they ever pick up. They don't pick up nothing else.
And I appreciate you saying that when you say they don't pick up any other book, because hopefully the listeners will go back and really understand what I mean when I looking at a political book and using a story of the doctor's office. It doesn't hurt to pick up a different book. I live right down the street from the El Sobrante Library. If you remember, before the COVID-19, I hung out there 3 or 4 days a week. Why? Because I want to see books that are different than the damn books that's lining these shelves in my house. So if I really want to learn politics, if I really want to learn why people like Millie Queen say there are two birds on the same wing, there are two wings on the same bird, pick up a different book. Okay? Don't argue with me about religion if the only book you picked up is the Bible, and as you agree, you don't really know it. You know chapters and scriptures, and guess what? Overwhelmingly, those came from some preacher standing in the pulpit reciting them to you. And
thank you. The only ones we don't.
Remember, I've been to 30 and 40,000. I live down the street. My family got property down the street from Cleflo Dollar. I'm saying that to say this: you go in them church houses, what you see, you got more pink and yellow highlighters in churches from the members of the congregation highlighting what the pastor is telling them than you got an entire school district. See?
Come on, Brother Malik. And then that's sad, because I used to say that all the time.
We always looking for a savior. We always looking for a savior, especially in religion and politics. Save your damn self. How do you save your damn self if you're a Bible reader? Don't just read the scriptures that the pastor send you home to read with. Don't just read the scriptures that you read at Bible study on a Wednesday night. Okay? Exactly. If you really want to be a Bible thumper and you're a child of God and you want to defend Christianity and the white man's religion, then I would think you would want to know not only the Bible in and out, front to back, side to side, but like you said, any other books. And this is why I always use the example, using when I'm talking about politics, is that you walk into a doctor's office and you just said it yourself. You just use the Bible. It's the only fucking book that you want to look at. I love being an independent, Sister Millie Queen, because I am the most powerful political party in this country. Because when you are in bed with a particular party, a Democrat or a Republican, they don't have to. Why you don't never hear about politicians coming and doing rallies in the heart of the hood? You've heard me lecture about this because they know the demographics. They know it's overwhelmingly black and minorities, and they also know in a political process that those are Democrats. So I don't have to go to the boys' club on 24th and Market in the heart of West Oak. Why? It's surrounded by blacks and minorities, and we know they're voting for us. Why do you always hear them talking about suburban wives and all that? So what's the difference between a white suburban woman and a sister living in the hood with 5 children? We don't understand that because we don't, and how it pertains to politics. We don't understand that because we have been trained and conditioned that all you got to do, brother, is vote. And let me say this in wrapping up before your next question. What is the election that black people pay more attention to than any other election in this country? We go out in droves every 4 years to vote for the president. And you just heard me say last week, Sister Mellie Queen here in California, we have some propositions that passed because of our negligence at the state level, and we have some at the local level that's going to affect us for many, many years to come. But what did black people overwhelmingly do? All they focused on was the president getting Donald Trump out of office. But what about the laws that's going to affect your grandchildren at the state level? What about the laws that's going to affect your children at the local level? And so even when we vote, we only care about every 4 years voting for the president. Why? It's all a condition. It's all a mind. It's all because, again, what brought up the subject matter was the word change. Change the way you think so you can change the way you live. Change the way you think so you can change it. And don't leave it to any certain particular titles. All aspects of my life have been changed at one point or another. I may have changed my name because of religious reason, but at least I stepped out and was willing to change my name. And my dad gave me his blessings. He said, son, I understand. The family name Lewis don't go with you being a Muslim. He understood because he was a Mason, 33rd degree. His father, my grandfather, was the state treasurer. He controlled all of the money for every Masonic hall in the state of California. Both of them had about 5 or 6 funerals. That's how powerful they were. So what is my point? My father stepped out and made a change when he was a young man coming out of the military and got into masonry. That's a change that he had to make. See, every change comes with a sacrifice. So there's a lot of things that my father used to do before he was a Mason that he stopped doing once he became a Mason. But he knew that going in. That's why when I called him and said, Dad, I've been talking about Islam. I've been going to the classes, the FOI classes with the nation. I said, I want to come up and talk to you about it. And the basis of the conversation was, and he taught me a lot of things. Take what's good out of it for you and leave it alone. The rest of it alone is BS and everything. And he said, as far as my blessings, would you change your name? He said, go right ahead, son. And the rest is history. And he became one of my biggest fans.
Exactly. That's what we want to emphasize to our people, that change is necessary. Change is growth. This has been a great show. I appreciate you. You know you are welcome anytime. My time has run out, but I want to thank you. I want you to give us a short closing, and we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. And like I say, you are always welcome. Thank you always for being transparent and giving us the truth and knowledge. Pay attention, family, because whatever happens in California, New York, these cities like this, it trickles down on us.
That's right.
All right.
And I thank you for saying that. Yeah, California and New York tend to be on the West Coast and the East Coast. People tend to follow suit. So 2 things I want to bring up really quick. First of all, in terms of the vaccine, not only are they pushing it in New York to make it mandatory for everyone, again, they're talking about it also in the nation's capital of Washington, D.C. Family and friends, you have to change the way you think so you can change the way you live. The first law of nature is self-perseverance. You have to do what's best for you at any and all cost. That's the bottom line. Because you have to answer for any sacrifices, any wrongs, any rights that you have done as you walk this planet. Thank you to Bantu Radio. Thank you to Sister Bantu Queen. Sister Millie Queen, a special thank you to you because you are one of the few sisters that I've met recently, and we go about just over a year, that are really down for our people, even being instrumental in understanding the importance of black women understanding that it's not okay for you to be in a home by yourself, especially with children. It wasn't designed that way. That's not the way our ancestors intended for it to be. And furthermore, thank you to my family in Africa, because I was blessed to have been flown there, all expenses paid, presented some great gifts when I spoke in Ghana in 2013. So I feel special talking to the audience out in South Africa. Thank you for having me. And again, you have the information. If you guys want to befriend me on Facebook, Malik Abdul Muhammad or El Abdul. And I'm also on LinkedIn. I'm Sir Blur 4.3 on Instagram. And this is what I do. This has been my compassion. And me telling my people the truth, hurting their feelings, have blissfully and thankfully gotten me all over the world. And those people didn't pay for my expenses for me to give me the microphone and give me the platform to lie. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to do this. And you know I'm always a phone call away. And you are a dear friend of mine because you care about me outside of being a lecturer and a motivational speaker. You care about my personal health, and you understand that Malik still does his work, even though all day, every day, I wake up in some sort of pain. But as long as my mouth can move and words can come out and I have movement in these fingers that work behind the scenes, I'm going to continue to be a true freedom fighter for liberty, liberation, freedom, justice, and equality for my people and the political prisoners all over the country. Peace and black power to you, sister. Ashe, Ashante, Hotel, Namaste, and Assalamu alaikum to my Muslim brothers and sisters throughout the world. Thank you for having me, sister. Thank you again, Bantu Radio. Peace and black power.
Thank you so very much, Brother Malik. Thank you, Black family. We love you all. Until the next show, this is Brother El Abdul Muhammad, the truth, Brother Malik. All right. We'll talk to you.
You're listening to Bantu FM.
By the people, for the people.